Josh and Frankie. What a couple of dumb shits.
Hello, Primates! You found Primus Tracks. Congratulations! There are many places to find us, not just here at the podcast. We're at Primus Tracks on Instagram and Threads. There is a Facebook page appropriately called Primus Tracks, and primustrackspod@gmail.com is the email address. I am one of the dumb shits. I am Josh. He's one of the couple of dumb shits, but he hardly ever demonstrates that trait. It's Frankie.
Hi, Josh.
Hey, Frankie, I assume I do enough of the dumb shitting for both of us.
Thank you very much.
Yes, it's a cross to bear. It's a great weight. But you know, Frankie, when you were walking through the desert and there was only one set of footprints, it's because I was carrying you.
Yes.
Welcome, everybody. Today we are talking about No Forcefield. What? Yes! Some of you have no idea what that is. Well, we'll talk about No Forcefield in a moment, but it is a Primus-adjacent project. When you hear the names, you will understand. Frankie, we do have some unfinished business to discuss from our last episode. Of course, Primus put out a new track called Pablo's Hippos.
Let's hear those takes.
With good old Maynard James Keenan, of course, as part of the Santa extravaganza that, as of this recording, is still going on. And we'll give way to some Primus headlining dates pretty soon. Pablo's Hippos. I gotta say, Frankie, I haven't spun Pablo's Hippos since we talked about it. So I need to refresh my memory on it. Are you finding that it is in regular rotation for you to this day?
No, I'm trying to keep it kind of fresh. So I'll get to it eventually in my chronological run, but I haven't played it too much, just so it's still kind of new for me. Because who knows when we're getting new Primus. So gotta stretch whatever we get.
New Primus, don't wear it out.
Yeah.
Words to live by. Let's hear a couple of thoughts from our primates, our primatrons over there at patreon.com/Primus Tracks. Eric in Australia said this, Frankie, will be a passing acquaintance at best. So Eric will be friendly with it, but he won't try to get to know it. It's like when you work with somebody and you know you have to get along with them, so you become passing acquaintances. All right, Eric. And our pal Wamola17 says, it's incredibly interesting to hear the distinct sound of Primus with Maynard and his distinct vocals. I wouldn't call it the best Primus song. I do appreciate it and will give it a listen here and there, but ultimately, after this tour, it likely goes the way of many of the songs of Animals Should Not Try to Act Like People. I can't see it being performed outside of this tour. Does Les take over vocals? I don't see it. Frankie, it's time for you to reiterate your insane theory that probably has some weight.
Oh, what was the theory that I proposed?
Who's going to take over vocals?
Oh, Adam Gates could be a special guest.
Please, Primus, take Adam Gates on your next tour. Have him do the electronics and the vocals for Pablo's.
Another reason that contributes a lot of weight to the theory that it might never be performed again is that night after night, it has been performed along with the other two tracks from the EPPP.
Mm-hmm.
God, I love saying that so much. So it would also be kind of odd to listen to that song outside of that context, right? I mean, they play them as a trilogy.
Oh, yeah, sure. I would love, though, for, these upcoming Primus headlining dates for Les to say, well, we just did an EPPP with our friend Maynard. Now here's that song. And, Adam comes on stage and does his thing.
Brilliant.
Oh, I'd love for that to happen. Just a couple of takes on Pablo's Hippos. I suppose it's fairly lukewarm. New Primus. Lukewarm.
EPPP.
Well, today we're here to talk about No Forcefield.
I think the first thing that we need to highlight here is the lineup. We have Larry LaLonde. We have DJ Disc.
Yep.
We have Brain.
Yep.
And we have the Filthy Ape, which is one of the many monikers of Adam Gates.
What a lineup indeed.
What a lineup, if you ask me. Yeah.
Don't forget Extrakd. Extrakd was on there as well.
Yeah.
Discs pal. So what a lineup with a bunch of familiar names. So if you are not familiar with No Forcefield, you at least know many of the names. It was important to delineate that the Filthy Ape was Adam Gates, because when you look at your No Forcefield releases, he's doing all the graphic design and layout. He's doing all the cover art. This is signature Adam Gates design on these CD and vinyl releases for No Forcefield. What a lineup indeed. So, Frankie, way back in 1998, a record label known as Stray Records made its debut, and it would last until sometime in 2001. And it largely housed electronic artists and electronic music with a handful of other releases. Good old Prawn Song Designs was on board doing their website. So remember, Prawn Song Designs had a lot of clients for web pages in the late 90s, including Interscope Records. And here's Stray Records, who contracted with Prawn Song Designs as well for their website. And what I wonder is, in exchange, did they put out these records in lieu of payment for the websites? No idea. But it seems like a fair trade, especially with the bizarre nature of these records. But here's a few records and artists, Frankie, who had releases on Stray, which was straight out of Oakland, California. Of course, No Forcefield with Lur, Adam Gates, Disc, Brain, and Extrakd. Also, Benoit, which was a butt house project, and that was their second record, Disciples of Retro Tech. Buckethead had a record on Stray called Somewhere Over the Slaughterhouse. The Coup, Frankie. You being good friends with Gabby Lala and her husband, Boots Riley. The Coups steal this album, probably their most well-known record, was released on Stray Records in 98. And the Gonerville release, Gonerville Presents the Freak Brothers. That's Brain, Buckethead, Extrakd. All kinds of artists are on that one. As well as DJ Disc's Apocryphal Maybe, 149 Ways to Smash Paul Simon's Face Breaks. I've never actually seen a copy of that, but supposedly it was released on Stray Records. As well as Phonocyclograph Disc versus the Filthy Ape, Mooch the Moose, Smack Dealer to the Stars, which I also have that CD as well. It is delightful. So a lot of really cool releases on Stray Records.
We discussed Psychophonographic Disc with Disc back then.
Yes, we did. And he discussed No Forcefield a bit, but he also talked about that record he did with Adam, Mooch the Moose. He also talked about Turbulence Chest, of course. So if you haven't heard our episode with Disc, it's buried back in the list somewhere, but you can find it. So No Forcefield, part of Stray Records. This one, Frankie, was a rabbit hole for me around 2001. That was about the age at which I was going clubbing a lot. I was really starting to get into electronic music.
Oh, you were a clubber?
I was going clubbing for a while. I know that's hard to believe.
Wow.
Yeah. So there was a time. I was about 20 years old. So for about a year there, I was doing a lot of clubbing, going there, dancing like a maniac, drinking underage, having a great time. Electronic music was the flavor of these clubs, so I was really getting into electronic music. So when I heard about the No Forcefield releases, it just seemed like kismet. The only difference is I wasn't doing tons of blow, so I was keeping it relatively clean at the club, Frankie.
You were dancing with other people to the sound of a robot saying "around the world" 100 times over and over.
I just saw that meme the other day.
Brilliant.
I actually had to ask my wife what that song was, and she played it. And I said, oh, I hadn't heard that song in ages. I hadn't even thought about it for years. But yes, so picture that meme, and then insert 20-year-old me. That's pretty much what was happening there, yeah. We have Lee's Oriental Massage from 2000, 415-626-1837. They actually published the phone number of Lee's Oriental Massage as their record title. And that one had CD and vinyl releases, and there was even a promo single for the John Rocker Redemption Clause, the second track on the record. The cover art's actually different on the CD as it is from the vinyl release. There's simply a handgun centered on the cover of the vinyl release, whereas you have a smoky matchstick on your CD release cover. But you will see that smoky matchstick on the hype sticker for the No Forcefield vinyl release. And then in 2001, we got the record God Is an Excuse, also received vinyl and CD releases. So in my collection, Frankie, I've got the 2 CDs. I've got the Lee's Oriental Massage vinyl. Still trying to track down God Is an Excuse on vinyl for a reasonable price. And unfortunately, almost all those promo singles with John Rocker on it are in Europe. I should clarify, Frankie, I was really digging this first record and playing that a lot when I was going clubbing and really getting into electronic music. The second record I don't think I even heard until a few years ago, and it's a massive departure from what they were doing with the first record. Clearly, they're just messing around, having fun, and making each other laugh. But I played the first record quite a bit. What's your experience with these records?
Back when I think it was around between 2015 and 2016, I kind of wanted to dig deeper and actually discover all the adjacent stuff that I was unaware of. And I remember that was a period of time where I would dedicate a lot of my spare time to reading all the interviews and articles I could find about Les and Primus. And then I remember going through Discogs and just, inspecting everything that was related to all the band members.
Yep.
And of course, that's when I stumbled upon No Forcefield. I think I heard both albums once. And then occasionally I would play them while I was drawing, because I found that it reminded me of the less abrasive side of Aphex Twin. And that kind of music is pretty great for doing illustrations, because it doesn't actually, there aren't lyrics or things that take your attention away from what you're doing. So it's very seamless and pleasant. At least that was my experience.
That's a nice way to describe it. You were having a good. You weren't rolling into the club and slam dancing to it, is what you're telling me. That's too bad.
Oh no way.
See, there are so many ways to enjoy No Forcefield. How are they not bigger than they were at all?
It also kind of made sense for me, because I remember Lur doing Calling All Sandworms for Electric Apricot. So I thought, yeah, it's not surprising that Lur was doing this kind of thing.
That came much later, of course, but Lur was really getting into electronic music around the turn of the millennium there. So here's your album credits. Ready, Frankie?
Yeah.
It says, Brain mastered the business and the beats. Lur was on the flying boat. The Filthy Ape enjoyed a casual snack and read a good book. DJ Disc drank grappa. Extrakd requested another blowout. Produced by the Fig Bat. Mixed by, I can't even tell you what that says, Fliva Banning. All serious commitments made at F- Studios, which I believe is Larry's house. Filthy Ape did the creative, and then it ends with, when in San Francisco, please visit Lee's Oriental Massage. Your life is meaningless, so visit noforcefield.com and learn to make bombs. That's the Adam Gates special right there. You know that's him. Did you know, Frankie, No Forcefield actually did 2 live shows that I know of in its history?
Really?
In November of 2000, they did a gig at Bottom of the Hill. Our pal Carla was there and photographed it. You can see it, see her photographs, I believe, on our website still, wildlupin.com.
There's something about Bottom of the Hill that it was the mecca for legendary one-off kind of shows. Because if you recall, that's where Beanpole performed once,
right,
prior to their reunion in 2018.
It's a hallowed hall of music in the Bay Area, Bottom of the Hill, you bet. And then in 2001, they did a live stream at the Beta Lounge, and this was actually streamed over the web, and I actually remember listening to this in my room the night that it aired, and it's still hosted on the Beta Lounge website, Frankie, and it's like 2.5 hours of them just tripping out on their on their breaks and beats. So we'll put that link in the show notes so you guys can access that. That's it. 2. Pretty truncated live history, Frankie. Now, let's sample a few tracks, shall we? The first track I will play is called the John Rocker Redemption Clause. If you're not familiar with John Rocker, he was a professional baseball pitcher sometime in the 90s, and he took a subway ride in New York City and only had racist and homophobic and horrible things to say as a result of that, and he got in big trouble. So I believe the John Rocker Redemption Clause references his god-awful behavior. But let's hear No Forcefield in all its glory.
Yeah, it's pretty relaxing.
I don't know, man. I threw down my headphones and you saw me dancing around the room, knocking stuff over. It's high energy music. I would love, I mean, you can tell, so those are Brain's beats. You could hear disc mixing, but you also hear that kind of that 8-bit soundboard type noises. I don't know who's controlling those, but they're having a blast. And this, probably my favorite song on the record right here. It's high energy. It's wild. There's a lot of cool stuff going on there. I really like it. Next one we'll sample is called Claudius the God. I really like that beat and that whole loop there. Now that one, Frankie, sounds like good drawing music because it can get you into a goofy state of mind for creating. Now, have you done any drawings for No Forcefield or any other non-Les Claypool side projects?
Yes, I've illustrated once where Les is actually involved, like the psychophonographic disc, turbulent chest release.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've drawn Les with Merv as well. But no, I didn't do No Forcefield yet.
I would love to see a Frankie No Forcefield illustration after sampling these tracks, just to see what you could come up with. That one is, that was a little more groovy. I'm actually going to play an excerpt from a track called Vanessa from the Man Show. And this one was actually the first track that they put out on noforcefield.com and maybe even the Stray Records website to promote the record. But at the time, Frankie, it was called Sporty Spice. They changed the name. I wonder if there was a legal reason for changing the name from Sporty Spice to Vanessa from the Man Show, of course, given the reference. But this one was available, at least a portion of it was available on the website to preview the record. And what was once Sporty Spice became Vanessa from the Man Show. That one a little more tripped out, a little more groovy. I like that one a lot. I'll tell you what, Frankie, my pals that I was going clubbing with didn't really like No Forcefield. I tried to get them into it.
Did he prefer Around the World?
They They certainly couldn't get into this, so they were preferring whatever else was on. Although this track, a couple dudes were into this track, so they went, yeah, they should do more stuff like that. And I was like, but when we're at the club, they're playing stuff that's just so far out of whack, and you guys are dancing around like idiots. Come on now. But apparently no Forcefield was too out there for them. So that was Vanessa from The Man Show. If you're not familiar with The Man Show, good on you. I don't know if you ever watched it, Frankie, but it was on when I was in college. I think I watched it once or twice and then went, watch things that I identify more with. You know, it was Jimmy Kimmel, Adam Carolla, satirizing male culture for the most part. This is one, I do like this one a lot. This one's called Squid in the Shirt. And if you go into this one, Frankie, envisioning a guy with a squid in his shirt, you might understand what's happening here. I'll play about the first 30 seconds. Yeah, Frankie, that is the sound of a multi-tentacled being trying to get out of your clothing. That one deserves an illustration.
Yeah, that's good.
Let's do a couple more from Lee's here. This one is called The Hard R. Do you hear that really high-pitched sample? I can't remember what that's from, Frankie, if it's Asteroids or Galaga or something like that. It's vaguely familiar.
It sounds very reminiscent.
It's an old arcade game sample. I can't place it. It's driving me batty. So if you can place that sample, please email us, primustrackspod@gmail.com or at primustracks on the socials. I can't remember, and it's bugged me to this day. That's Lee's Oriental Massage, Frankie, which in and of itself, it's mostly focused, pretty high energy, a lot of great sounds going on, a lot of experimental work, but it's pretty cohesive. The following year, 2001, No Forcefield drops God is an Excuse. And I suppose that was the excuse for releasing this record. It is off the wall. Have you heard any of this one?
Yeah, I've heard it a couple of times. I do recall that there's a portion. I remember the last few minutes of the record being vaguely reminiscent of Lee's Oriental Massage. But I do recall this record having somewhere in the middle this kind of very long track. I mean, I never actually distinguished between the tracks. Like, I would just play the whole thing back to back. But I do remember the middle having this passage with a sample that was kind of getting me out of the zone. So I found the first record much better for drawing, because that portion with the sample was kind of distracting.
Are you referring to their what is more or less a home shopping network parody?
With precisely that.
Yeah, I think that's Adam. And
Totally.
And I think maybe Arch Barker. I'm not entirely sure who it is, but it's definitely Adam and somebody else just going back and forth, possibly improvising at this whole home shopping network thing, just being absolute goofballs. That's the one that'll take you out. So yeah, God is an Excuse. 8 tracks, all kinds of weirdness going on. We might as well listen to some of it. Oh, by the way, last week, Frankie, we presaged this with drugs. There are so many drug references on this one especially. The first track is called dimethyltryptamine, DMT, and there's also a track called How to Purify Street Heroin, and then in parentheses, has a web address you can go to read all about purifying street heroin. No idea if it's still at all available, and I don't want to find out. And, Frankie, This album also has a track called Vanessa from The Man Show. I don't know what's going on anymore. There's also a really bizarre, and I'm going to play it in a little bit, a really bizarre rendition of You Are My Sunshine. You know how Beanpole kind of torpedoed Les's distribution deal with Mammoth Records? I wonder if this album completely destroyed Stray Records. I wouldn't be surprised if the investors went, "You're putting this out?" You got to be a hardcore fan to enjoy some of this. And I am, at least to the level of morbid curiosity. This is not a record I go back to, but it's really fun to listen to just to hear these guys going off the deep end. Let's hear a little bit of DMT. That's almost loungy to me, but that sample that's playing buried in the mix, I don't know if it's Wizard of Oz or Shirley Temple or what is it, whatever it is. Disc really knows how to find these bizarre, obscure things. Whatever it is, it's unsettling. So if you removed that sample, it's a pretty groovy track, but then there's this unsettling loop of that sample underneath. By the way, that track is over 7 minutes long, so listener beware if you're going to go find this record. Frankie, do you want to learn how to purify street heroin?
Okay.
This guy's up for anything. All right, well, put your protective gear on, and let's find out how to do that.
Will be the resident monkey uncle, known throughout Malaysia as the man who spreads foul disease.
Pause. You can easily tell that's Adam, right? With the pitch shifter. Good.
Gentlemen, I introduce to you Mr. Monkey Jaw Slackface, playing the Miami Vice theme song, DJ Monkey Cock.
If anything, it's a great way to hear Disc rip it up. That's pretty fun, taking the Miami Vice theme song and doing that with it. It's groovy. I really like that, and of course Adam's intro is funny. What a fun way to blow off steam. You know, Frankie, imagine you're spending your day writing HTML for Stray Records, Interscope Records, whatever clients you have. You just gotta blow off some energy afterwards. So do this. Put out an album. Why not? Spend your spare time creating funky-ass records. They're also, by the way, track 3, Frankie, I didn't talk about this yet. Track 3 is called Money Savers, featuring the Sanchez Brothers. Do you remember the Sanchez Brothers?
Who are they?
So the Sanchez Brothers was another offshoot, funny, goofy thing that a select group of young men did. And they put out a couple of tracks onto the internet in the early aughts. And the Sanchez Brothers were comprised of Zoltron, Adam Gates, Arch Barker, and I believe Brain and Lur. And they all got together. Yeah, they all got together and did a little thing called the Sanchez Brothers. And of course, they made up a goofball biography of the 5 Sanchez brothers, that they were all straight out of Modesto or something like that. And of course, the Sanchez brothers, that is, thought they were pretty great shakes, and obviously they were nobodies going nowhere. But that was part of the charm of it, part of the conceit. It was quite interesting. We'll say that. There's a couple of Sanchez brothers tracks out there still, Frankie. You can find them on YouTube. And they're a lot of fun themselves. So the Sanchez brothers show up on the second No Forcefield album. But I am, Frankie, going to subject everyone to the second iteration of Vanessa from the Man Show, and we're going to hear a portion of their QVC home shopping network Fever Dream. Hold on to your wallets.
All right, that's fine. We've got our final guest coming on the show now. This guy, he's a regular here. He usually has the best cleaning products. Now, this is a product that can apparently clean your hair and your car. Give it up for Yabo Wakeman from Australia. Hello, Yabo. Welcome on the show. Well, thank you very much, Dale. It's good to be back here. I've got a new product which you're really going to like. This one cleans your hair and your car. Well, that's great, Yabo. Now, you sound like you spent a little time in New York as well as Australia. Oh, I have, man. I've spent a lot of time there. What are you talking about? Of course I have.
You hop up Adam Gates on Goofballs, you give him a condenser microphone, and you let him have at it, Frankie. That's the recipe for success here. I don't know what's happening.
Absolutely.
Just having a blast there. And by the way, this track is 9 minutes, and most of it is this kind of material.
Yeah, I recall now.
Yes. I'll play the final 30 seconds because there's a fun payoff.
Fiesta. Cabin effect. You don't listen to that commercial bullshit. Moneymakers can suck my ass because they ain't selling nothing and I'm selling grass. I got fat bags of the shitty green stuff. Make it cough and choke every time you take a puff. You put it in your pipe, you pack it up tight, then you bust it out. Smoke the shit all night till you get ripped. Then you dip into the ice cream sip. And you grab some cherry Garcia
This
that's
is
vanilla.
ridiculous. This is sicko. Your country has a problem.
Pretty sweet flow from Adam there. And finally, as far as the samples go, Frankie, I have no words for this.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You never knew, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
Honestly, they're daring you to listen. Not my favorite rendition of You Are My Sunshine, but it's up there. That one is You Are My Sunshine featuring Mr. Billy Roz. It's avant-garde, it's Dadaist, it's bizarre. It's probably pretty heavily drug-induced. And I like it.
Agreed.
So you sure you don't want to go to the club tonight, Frankie?
No thanks.
Oh, we could have
No clubbing.
a grand old time. I did read some of the credits for the albums, Frankie, but really the track titles are much of the fun on their own, with track titles like The John Rocker Redemption Clause, Mr. Jellyneck, Hitler Was My Co-Pilot, Vanessa from the Man Show Twice, Ladies' Night in Buffalo. That's a really great song title. And of course, How to Purify Street Heroin, with the website to access that information. Davy Drum's drum solo. A lot of good stuff happening here. No Forcefield, quite an experiment. Nice way to blow off steam. The discs and the vinyl, they're out there. You can get them on Discogs. You can get them on resale sites. They're obviously long out of print. I have a feeling they never will be back in print. Unless, Frankie, I win at least $40 million. $40 million is my threshold. My wife said it's okay. If I win at least $40 million, I will be buying the rights to all kinds of music, including that of No Forcefield, to put it back out there in the public for people to consume.
Didn't the Residents offer the rights to their catalog for $1 million?
Was it $1 million or $1 billion?
I don't recall, but I guess that was the content of the mystery box that they were offering, right?
That's right. Wasn't it the $1 billion box or the $1 million? I don't remember which one it was. Either way, you're
I
getting a great
vaguely
deal.
remember that it was $1 million.
$1 million box. I mean, what a deal.
Yeah.
Nobody knew. If only I had fuck you money, I definitely would have bought it. But I don't have that kind of money. I only have, money, which that's the sound I make when I have to spend it. What am I trying to say? No force field, whether you're getting a massage or making excuses. There are no excuses because you've been tracked. A little couple of curios here, Frankie. Little no force field. I dare the primates to go out and find no force field and listen to it and let us know how it destroyed their brains. Speaking of no force field, Frankie, you may recall we spoke to Adam Gates not long ago, and I did mention to him, Adam, the people are clamoring for more no force field. And he said to me, and I quote, anyone clamoring for more no force field should up the meds significantly. End quote. So, coming from the man himself, if that doesn't tell you the nature of no force field, I don't know what does. But both records are a lot of fun. They're novelties, especially the second one. The first one, I believe, does have some replay value and is listenable. The second one is certainly something you play every once in a while just for the entertainment value, or to trip somebody else out. Especially the Home Shopping Network stuff. Oh man. But this is it, Frankie. This was at a time in my life listening to this kind of stuff. This was at a time in my life when I was looking for the weirdest music I could, and I would say that both of these records qualify. So, Stray Records, you did well while you were around with the No Force Fields and the DJ discs and the bucket heads.
On your quest for the weirdest music ever, you never stumbled upon the Butthole Surfers?
Oh, I definitely listened to some Butthole Surfers. They were fun.
White House?
I've never been to the White House, no.
No, I mean the the music group White House.
No, I know the name. Yes, I'm goofing on you. I'm dad joking you.
That was, I used to do that as well, but when I stumbled upon the White House, that's when I said, I think I have peaked. I don't need to look further. If there's anything more disturbing than this, and I definitely don't need to hear it.
Yes, there's plenty more disturbing stuff out there. I was mostly looking for the stuff that just takes you out into the ether musically, or as opposed to upsetting or unsettling oneself. So No Force Field fits the bill. It's fun stuff. Go find it, primates. Now, next time, Frankie, we finally get to start peeling away the layers of the Purple Onion.
Fabulous. What a record.
Indeed, we're back on the chronology. We're going to take Purple Onion, 2002's Purple Onion, track by track, peel back the layers. We'll try not to cry. My eyes are already watering just thinking about it. Primates, thank you all for your support at Primus Tracks, primustrackspod@gmail.com, patreon.com/Primus All great ways to contact us. Later days.
Willie Mays.